A belief why I think Islam is the fastest growing religion is it's the most welcoming religion and people set a better example. So I make a lot of videos criticizing Christianity, and it's not because I hate Christianity. My problem with Christianity is if all of the Christians actually followed their religion, it would be great and it would solve a lot of the problems. We just have so many people in today's society that are Christian by name, not Christian by act.
Welcome to One in Tribe. Today's guest is Canyon Mimbs. He is a 20-year-old Muslim revert who spent the last 2 years traveling around the world experiencing different cultures while building his first company. Canyon has lived in Turkey, the UAE, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia. He is a business owner, investor, and an advocate for the religion of Islam. Welcome, Canyon, to One in Tribe.
Thank you for having me on, Julie.
Thanks. So Canyon, usually I like to start at the very beginning, and we'll get there, but I'm going to try something a little different today. How would you describe yourself in 3 words?
I would describe myself in 3 words as open-minded, eager, and caring.
I love it. Great words. So now that we've got that down, tell me a little bit about where your journey starts. Where were you born? Where were you raised?
So I grew up in a very small town in North Idaho called Sandpoint. Okay, it's a beautiful place if you've never been. And where I grew up was very isolated from the world. Like if you're not in America, the stereotypical small town, one street, they don't know that anything exists outside of that small town. That's where I grew up. I grew up on a family farm. So my parents, they made probably $26,000 a year combined income. We all worked on the farm every single day. So it gave me a very limited view on outer aspects of the world, right? And then I started traveling once I left high school. And what this actually did though, is it allowed me to learn a lot of new things without having stigma attached to it. So a lot of people who come from Western countries will go to places like the UAE and they'll have all this stigma in their head, right? They'll think all these things that the media told them. But for me, where I grew up, I had no connotations. So once I started traveling, that's why I've been able to have a very open mind with all the places I've been, because there was no programming from whatever I was supposed to believe. It was just, oh, this is my first experience. So this is what it's like. This is the opinion I'm going to give. So that's where I started.
And where was your first trip to?
When I left the US, first place I went to was Warsaw. And then I started just slowly migrating. So I went from Warsaw to Amsterdam, Amsterdam to Turkey, Turkey to Pakistan, Pakistan to UAE, UAE to Saudi.
And who did you travel with the first time? Like you just one day, because you're super young, you're only 20 years old. So it seems like you've already lived a lifetime. What made you take that first trip to Warsaw?
So I've always believed as a young man, you have infinite amounts of shots on goal. As long as you have like a family, an absolute worst case scenario is you could go back to your family, then you should be swinging for the absolute fences. So I graduated high school and like any very responsible young man, I spent all of my money and went to an event in Chicago. It was like a networking event. It was 4 days. I learned a bunch of stuff. And I came back completely changed. I landed back in my hometown, quit my job day of, 0 notice, booked a plane ticket, flew to Miami, went to another event, maxed out my credit cards. Now I'm in Miami. And once again, just like a very responsible young man, I was like, okay, I'm going to spend the last bit of money I have to get an Airbnb in Warsaw and to have enough food and a plane ticket to get to Warsaw. And why I did this was because I know that experiences build character. People who have no character have no experiences. So as a young person, the thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to condense as much experiences as possible into a small time frame. And I was like, okay, worst case scenario, it doesn't work out, right? Most people go to college for 4 years, never try anything. They never chase anything big. They have no ambitions. When, I could fail and then I'll just go do what the rest of them do. I might as well try first. So that's why I lived the very extreme traveling when I didn't know how it was going to end up.
Good for you. And you did this all by yourself?
Up until I got to Turkey. Once I got to Turkey, it was with me and a business partner.
And then is Turkey predominantly Islamic?
Depends on where you are. So
Okay.
Turkey would technically be like an Islamic nation, but there's a lot of places that aren't Muslim.
So what was your first, or where was your first contact with Islam?
So where it actually happened was we started a sales company while I was actually in Warsaw, me and 4 other guys. And we all started building it up. Then we'd never met each other in person. And they're like, we should all go meet up and do something. So we all decided to go meet in Turkey, and we all flew out there. And one of my business partners was actually a Muslim. So he was the very first Muslim I met. And there was something very interesting about him because I'd never met a Muslim. To be fair, I probably didn't even know what a Muslim was. I'm going to be 100% honest. And he acted a certain way. He wouldn't let you pay the bill. I could hear how he talked to his mom on the phone. He was very kind. He gave a certain presence. I was like, this is fascinating. So I'd start to ask him questions. And at the hotel we were staying at, he'd pray. And I was getting intrigued. I'm always curious. One of the 3 words I said is eager, right? I'm eager to learn. And so he started introducing me to things. I started asking a lot of questions. And him and I, out of all the business partners, we were getting close, building, friendship outside of business. And we decided, let's start traveling together. I kind of told him my plan is just to go to a different country every single month. We'll figure it out once we're there. And he said, I'll tag along. And then right before we go, plan where we want to head out to, he says, well, actually, my family's in Pakistan and I want to go visit them. Do you want to come with me? And I was like, no, I don't. I don't want to go to Pakistan because I assumed Pakistan was just dirt roads and donkeys. And yes, that was mostly accurate. It was dirt roads and donkeys. But I did love it. So I decided to go with him. So we booked our flights from Turkey. We headed to Pakistan. And then once I landed in Pakistan, that was my real experience to Islam. He was my introduction to what a Muslim is. And then I really got, enveloped in Islamic traditions once I was in Pakistan.
And that's where your journey to reverting to Islam began, I assume.
Yeah.
And just kind of tell me about that, because I'm Roman Catholic. I was born in Brazil. Most Brazilians are Roman Catholic. And I've actually become recently interested in Islam. And I started reading the Quran. But how did it start? I mean, what made you pick up the book and start reading and educating yourself? I mean, it's so curious.
Yeah. Well, an interesting thing is we're always going to become a byproduct of the people we spend time with, right? So if I had never spent all that time with that business partner and went to Pakistan, maybe I would have never become a Muslim. And that's why people can get turned away from certain religions, right? Christianity, Islam, whatever it is, because they spend time with people who actually represent that religion poorly. And I think that's why it's really important, if you're religious, you need to set your best example, because that's what will bring people to your religion. So for me, I just got very enveloped in the cultural things that they did. And I've always been a person, I'll hang out with everybody. During high school, I go play Dungeons and Dragons with the nerds, and then go party on the weekends with all the cool kids, and then go to the skate park with the skater kids. I would hang out with absolutely everybody. So I was always like, yeah, I'll just experience it. I didn't have any intention of becoming a Muslim, but my friend would go pray in the mosque. Yeah, I'll go pray in the mosque. My friend would read the Quran. I'll read the Quran. Why not? Read a little bit before I go to bed. And I started finding peace. I just started finding a lot of peace in the religion. And an interesting thing that haters on social media would like to say this to reverts, that they're usually revert to Islam because they're missing something, right? Oh, you're trying to patch that thing. Oh, your relationship with your father. An interesting thing for me, I can't relate to any of that. There was nothing, I've been very blessed. There was nothing bad that was ever happened really in my life. So it's not like I had any, I was trying to solve any major problems. I was happy. I was a very happy person. But then I started noticing, I was like, wow, I just feel incredibly peaceful when I was at the mosque. And so I'd go pray, Fajr, which is the first prayer. Muslims pray 5 times a day. First prayer is 5 a.m. in the morning. And I'd go pray. And then after prayer in the mosque, the imam there, would be the leader of the church, right? He would give a lecture. And they were speaking Urdu. I didn't understand it. And I'd sit there and I'd listen for 25 minutes. And I just sit there and like kind of listen to what they're saying. I didn't know what they were saying, but there was some impact, something there. I don't know what it was. And it just started to intrigue me. It made me want to learn more. So I started reading the Quran. I started getting really curious, asking my friend and then the people at the mosque questions. And I kept going down this rabbit hole. And then what started reinforcing kind of me looking into it was the people in Pakistan. I've said this so much, were so kind. Like they would come up to me and just, oh, it's so amazing you're here, Muslim brother. And then my friend would be like, oh no, he's not Muslim. They're like, oh, inshallah, he'll be Muslim. And they're all just very kind. So that's really what led to it, is just being reinforced around positive people who represented Islam in the right light.
How long did it take you from the moment you started, let's say, reading the Quran until you took your Shahada?
Like a month.
Wow.
Very
That was
fast.
quick.
Yeah.
So how much had you read? Because sometimes I feel like, okay, do I have to read the whole Quran before I take this step? Like I have all these thoughts in my head, like how much of the religion should I know? You did a month's work of reading and going to the mosque, and then you decided this is for me?
Yeah, because I think I saw the religion beyond the book. So I think if you're an American who has no Muslim friends, you don't spend any time with Muslims, and the only way that you learn about Islam is by reading the Quran, it might be hard for you to find that connection, right? That real connection. But I got so immersed into it immediately. I was going to people's houses. I was going to random Pakistani people's houses and having dinners with their family and didn't even speak the same language. I don't even know how we did it sometimes. And we would just be there. And I got to see these people and I got to see how they operate. And they lived lives that seemed amazing. And for me, to give context on this, from a very young age, I was exposed to people who were incredibly financially successful, right? I've been around a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people who just have millions of dollars. And then I went and spent time with a lot of Muslims in Pakistan who had no money. And I was like, wow, these people all seem way happier. Like there's something here. All of these people are happier than all of these millionaires I've met in Dubai. It's like, so there's something going on. So when I reverted to Islam, it was less of like, I have a full comprehensive understanding of the religion versus I feel like I'm very open-minded. I've experienced a lot of different things in a lot of different cultures. There's something different here. And I think it's the truth.
And when did you take your Shahada? Were you in Pakistan?
Yeah. So what led up to me taking my Shahada was I had been praying Fajr in the mosque. And like when I was listening to the Imam talk for 20 minutes, I'd sit there and I'd go, I want to take my Shahada. I want to go walk up to him and tell him I'm going to take my Shahada. And then I wouldn't do it. And then the next day, I'd sit after Fajr, I want to take my Shahada. And then the next day, and I wouldn't do it. And I remember one day, I go, okay, after Fajr, I'm going to take my Shahada. And I sat there, and then once again, I didn't do it. And I walked home. Mosque is about a minute away from where we live. We're on the top floor. I take the elevator up. I get in the elevator, goes up floor 1, goes up floor 2. We're on floor 3. Gets there, power in the building shuts off. I'm stuck in the elevator. And I instinctively go, oh, well, that sucks. I might as well pray while I'm here. I'll use the time efficiently. So I sat there and I prayed. And I prayed for guidance. I prayed that you guide me on the path that's best for me. You show me the truth. And after about 20 minutes of praying, I realized, although the power in the building was off, the elevator would still open. And I thought to myself, I was like, wait. I didn't even try to open the elevator. First thing was instinctively, I'm going to start praying. And I'd been wanting to take my Shahada. And I had a very firm belief in my entire life, there's no such thing as coincidences because you can track back your entire life why things have happened. And I was like, there's no way, not a coincidence, that I've been wanting to take my Shahada. I didn't even try to open the elevator. I just started praying first. So I said it right there. I'm like, I'm going to go inside, look up how you take your Shahada. So I walked inside, flipped up my laptop, YouTube, how to take Shahada. Did it myself, and then did it officially in the mosque the next day.
That's great. You're so wise beyond your years. I mean, even the coincidence, I also don't believe in coincidences. I believe everything happens for a reason, perfectly at the right time. But talking to you, it seems like you're such an old soul. Do you see yourself as an old soul?
Yeah, so a firm belief that I hold is, as a young person, you can condense time frames by actively learning from other people, right? They say a smart person learns from their own mistakes, a wise person learns from others. So I was very blessed from a young age to get to spend in-person time with people who are 30, 40, 50, very successful in whatever field of life, and get to learn everything from them, right? Weekends, weeks of just being surrounded by these people. And I soaked in as much knowledge as I possibly could so I could avoid all the mistakes they've made, right? So I think that if you're young and you have to try at it though. You can't just listen. Like if you go listen to YouTube, you don't apply anything, that's not gonna help you. But if you listen to people who are older, more successful, or more experienced, they don't have to be older, more experienced, have more life experience, you can excel how quickly you learn things. And then what this does is it just gives you more wisdom when you're younger. And that's also why I wanted to go travel to a bunch of countries. Because I was like, okay, the average person who's 50 has been to like 3 different countries, right? And going to different countries opens up how you view the world. It gives you more perspective on different cultures. So my thought process was if I go to a bunch of different cultures, a bunch of different countries in a very short time frame, what this is going to do is it's going to help me mature quicker. It's going to give me more perspective on the world faster, which will then again give me more wisdom. So I'm a big believer in condensing time frames. Like people just waste time, right? If you think about the average American, how much time they spend on their phone, how much time is spent not even like watching Netflix or scrolling, just doing nothing. Like the time between the laundry and the getting ready for bed. So it's like if you eliminate that time and fill it with things that are productive, you can just increase how much you learn at a very fast rate. So I always feel I'm incredibly wise for my age, but also I always look back like 3 months ago and wow, like 3 months ago, I was like a child, right? And I know in the next 3 months, I'm going to look back on me and I'll listen to this podcast right now and I'll go, wow, like I was a child. So it's just keeping that constantly going.
Good for you. So going back to your Shahada, when you reverted to Islam, can you actually, for our audience, explain why they say reverted to Islam and not converted to Islam?
So Shahada, just so anybody knows, it's pretty much the testimony that there's only one God. So it's like, I believe there's one God, Allah is the only God, there's no other gods, and Muhammad is his messenger. So that's what the Shahada is. And the belief behind why it's called revert and not convert is because the Islamic belief, what we believe is that we're all actually born Muslim. Regardless of where you are, we're all Muslim because when we come to this earth, we were with the Creator before we came here. And then some people, we're all born Muslim, we're all born sinless as children, right? Innocent. And then obviously, sometimes you're born into a non-Muslim household or your life leads you on a different path and everybody has their own path. But we all start as a Muslim. So when I took my Shahada, about 2 years ago, it's not that I was becoming a Muslim for the first time. I was just coming back to the truth.
Mm,
That's the
okay.
belief.
Okay. Thank you for that. And then what were your parents' reaction?
So I've been very blessed to have really amazing parents. Like I talk to them all the time and very supportive. But I didn't know they'd be supportive, right? So I was definitely concerned. I didn't tell them immediately. It took about 2 weeks to tell my parents. Told my brother immediately, called him like he might have been the first person to find out. I'm pretty sure he probably told them. But they didn't act like it. So it took me some confidence. I was like, I'm going to call my dad. I'll tell my dad. 2 weeks after I took my Shahada. So I call him. We have a regular conversation. I go, Dad, there's something I want to tell you. And he's like, yeah, what's up? And I go, well, I became a Muslim. Pause. There's silence. There was no response on the end of the phone. And he goes, yeah, we figured so. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you're living in a Muslim country. You're living with a Muslim. Yeah, we figured so. So what's that mean moving forward? That's all he said. That was his exact response. And it's a really big blessing because that is a struggle for most people who do revert to Islam is their family can't comprehend it. It's hard for them to understand. But I've had very supportive parents who, they're the reason why I'm so open-minded. So it'd be hypocritical if they're like, oh, we taught you to be open-minded and now you're open-minded. So bad on you.
So true. That's right. Well, good for them and good for you. Now, what was your first? Well, did you go to the UAE first or Saudi first?
So the UAE was the first place I went to.
Okay. Dubai?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what was that like? Or what are your thoughts about Dubai? Because it's an Islamic country. It's an Arab country, but very open. I believe 80% of the residents there are expats. Correct? I think is it
Yeah, it's a
80%?
it's a high percentage.
Yeah.
So if say I had a super radical like uncle that just like hated Muslims and was just like a complete Islamophobe, and I was trying to introduce him to Islam, I had to take him to one place, I would take him to Dubai. Because Dubai gives you the perfect example where you can go there as a Westerner and still feel like you're actually like in America, and then it's really intertwined and you can see the Islamic parts. Versus like if you go to somewhere like Pakistan, like it's gonna be a complete like there are zero similarities. Like I can't relate to this at all. So you almost gotta like warm people up. So I think Dubai is great for that. Dubai is not perfect, right? There's a lot of things that aren't very good. But what Dubai has done is it's actually dramatically helped destigmatize how the world views the Middle East. Because Dubai is now on social media all the time, right? It's on the news all the time. 15 years ago, that wasn't the case. So it's showing people that, hey, these are regular people who live here. They're not different than you. These are family people who enjoy doing what they want, right? So that's been, I think, one of the most beneficial things about Dubai. It's just destigmatized how people view, you know, places that they haven't been.
And then you went to Saudi and you took your Umrah. Can you
Yes.
please tell our viewers what the Umrah is?
So Umrah, there's 5 pillars in Islam. Things that you like pretty much you have to do. You need to pay your zakah, which is paying your charity. And one of those is performing pilgrimage, right? So Umrah is a religious pilgrimage that all Muslims are required to go on. And you go to Mecca and you go to Medina. And this is a pilgrimage that Muslims have been making forever. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, made this exact same pilgrimage. And you go to Mecca and there's certain like rituals, you go around the Kaaba
Kaaba.
for a certain amount of times. I was blanking there for a second. And then you get your head shaved. For women, you get like a strand of hair cut off. And it's a pillar of Islam. So it's like when you want to complete your deen, you get married, you can pay your zakah, and doing Umrah is one of those pillars.
And what was that experience like?
It was a very, very interesting experience. So I wasn't going to go on Umrah at first. My friend, once again, when he was like, let's go to Pakistan, I just joined. He then told me, my family and I were all going to go on Umrah. Do you want to come with? And I was like, oh, we're trying to scale the company, where things are going good right now. Like we just got to work. And he said something to me that stuck with me forever. The work's going to be there when we get back. This opportunity might not. So I always think about that when things happen is, which thing is going to be here when I come back? Is the opportunity going to be there, or is this work going to be here? So I decided to go against all notion that I should. And when I got there, Mecca, it's like a place that's completely protected from the outside world. Like when you go into Mecca, I shut my phone off, had really no connection to the outside world. You all of a sudden realize that work doesn't matter. That thing that you were stressing about doesn't really matter. You're just there and you're present. So I'd like sit out on the marble. It's like marble floors everywhere. I just read, and I was by myself, or I'd go into the mosque and like sleep on the carpet and just lay there or whatever. And you just feel a sanctuary, a sense of peace, a sense of nothing else matters except this moment right now. And it's one of the most peaceful places ever. And that's the same for Medina. Both very peaceful.
And in Mecca, are men and women together, or is it separate?
So how it would be is obviously when you're in the city and when you're in the main like area where all the hotels are and the mall, everyone's always about. And now the Kaaba, right? So there's the Kaaba, and then there's where you walk around the Kaaba, and then on the outside is the rest of the mosque. Okay, so inside where everyone walks around, men and women. And then when you get inside the mosque, inside most mosques, there's a women's section and then there's a men's section.
Right. Okay. And what were your first impressions of Saudi? When you first got to Saudi, did you go straight to Mecca, or did you dip your toes in Riyadh or Jeddah?
So I lived in Riyadh for actually 2 months before I went on Umrah.
Okay.
And Saudi people are interesting. So Pakistan people, they're just like, I want to be your best friend. You know, you're now like my brother, you know, like join the family. Saudi people, they're kind of just like, yeah, you do what you want. You know, like they're just super indifferent. They're just doing their thing. They're a very fascinating culture. Like they'll be up till 3 o'clock at night, just drinking like coffee. They'll be having the strongest espresso with their hookah lounges just right on the sides. Fascinating. But they're just like, I never had any weird interactions in Saudi. Like, it was just like, it's like I was just in America and there's, yeah, it's just a dude. Like, nope, nobody ever looks at you weird. Like in Pakistan, we went out once and people would like film me because I'm like I'm 6'5", I'm white, and I always wear suits. And so I'm in Pakistan, just completely stand out. Most people have probably not seen someone like that. I'd have people, super weird. If you're a tall white man and you want a glimpse of what being a celebrity is like, go to Lahore, Pakistan. I'd have people come up and be like, yo, can we have a photo? I'm like, what are you gonna do with a photo? Why do you want a photo of me? This is really suspicious. And then Saudi people, they just super indifferent. What I loved about Riyadh, number one, it's the cleanest city that I've ever seen in my entire life. I think Riyadh is cleaner than any city in America. Never see trash. It's very futuristic. Number two, it's very safe. So our door to our apartment broke like 1 week into us staying there. We didn't get it fixed. So every day when we leave the house, doors is wide open. Everything's there. Anybody could go take every single thing from our apartment, but nobody would do that. You like tell me where in America you can just leave your house open. Not like the door's unlocked, like the door's just open. You can
Wow.
just go walk in. And that's also in Pakistan as well. Like people, odd thing in Pakistan, but we had like people who would kind of clean the house and other people lived in the building. And sometimes, because we were living in a pretty big house, sometimes I'd walk into the house and there'd just be like random Pakistani people like in my house, just like chilling, like making soup. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? And they're just like, I'm just using the microwave. I'm like, bro, it's my microwave. But they're super cool about it. So it was pretty fun.
Wow. And any culture shocks in Saudi?
I would say Pakistan's what gave me the culture shock, not really Saudi.
Interesting. So it kind of prepared you for Saudi.
Well, Saudi, especially I think if you go to, Riyadh, like it's not you're not going to feel out of place, especially if you're in the city. Like if you stay in the city, except like if you had zero exposure, so women wearing like the abaya, which is like a full covering like this, obviously that could be like the first shock for someone, but past that point, like there's nothing that's really different. One thing that is nice is the Adhan. So the Adhan is the call to prayer that you hear from the mosque. It goes 5 times a day and it's super beautiful. So kind of like you get to hear beautiful Adhan 5 times a day. Any non-Muslim would even like that.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful for sure. Where are you located right now?
Many different places. I'll be in America and the UK mostly.
Okay. And Canyon, what's it like being a white Muslim in America?
Well, when I'm in America, depends on where you are. Muslims are growing rapidly. So even in America, there's so many Muslims. For me, I think it's not really weird. I think if you're a woman and you choose to wear a hijab, it's completely different because you immediately show the world you're a Muslim, and then anybody who has a stigma with that, they might have their opinions. But for me, most people don't know I'm a Muslim unless it comes up in a conversation. So I don't see any impact. And then the UK, at this point, the UK is like a Muslim country. So like where I am in the UK, I swear 50% of people here are Muslim. It's not too weird.
And why do you think Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world?
So a belief why I think Islam is the fastest growing religion is it's the most welcoming religion and people set a better example. So I make a lot of videos criticizing Christianity, and it's not because I hate Christianity. My problem with Christianity is if all of the Christians actually followed their religion, it would be great and it would solve a lot of the problems. We just have so many people in today's society that are Christian by name, not Christian by act, right? So it's like saying you're a Christian, but then literally not following any of the religion doesn't make you a Christian. So I think for young people specifically, anybody, they want to go find a religion. There's more vocal practicing Muslims than more vocal practicing Christians, right? So it does become a volume game, right? If you have more people who it's like, okay, I go here, there's a bunch of Muslims, I get enveloped in their culture, I get enveloped in their teachings, it's going to make me interested in learning about it. And the amount of vocal practicing Christians seems to just becoming less and less. I think recently, the last like 4 years with everything that's going on in the world, I think there has been an insurgence of people being more vocal about it. But previously it's been declining a lot. So I think more people are attracted to Islam just because they can very clearly see what the religion is, right? So it's like Islam, there's sectors in Islam, right? There's like Sunni Muslims, there's Shia Muslims, and it can get a little confusing there. But really, the mass majority, like 85% of all Muslims, follow the exact same religion. And then the other 15%, it's like slight variations. But with Christianity, there's like, you got Orthodox, you got Mormon, you got Lutheran, so many things. So I think, once again, if someone's trying to find their religion, they're like, Islam, one simple religion, Christianity, bunch of different variations, and they all actually heavily disagree with each other, right? Like a lot of the Christian denominations really disagree with each other. So I think that's one of the things is people need a easy to understand religion, and the more complex things get, the more people get turned away.
Yeah, one thing that fascinates me about the Quran and Islam is that the book is still read in the language that it was written in 1400 years ago. So there's been no, I mean, obviously when we read it in English, there is a little bit of lost in translation because Arabic is such a complex language. But that's one of the things that it's still in its original format, whereas any other, well, the Torah, I'm assuming, was written in Hebrew and is still written in Hebrew. But, the Bible, it was written in Aramaic. Was it written in Aramaic?
Aramaic.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been translated, and obviously you lose so much. How's your Arabic, by the way? Are you learning Arabic?
I've gone the attempt of learning Arabic many times, but then it gets pushed off in terms of priorities. So I could not hold a conversation in Arabic.
Yeah, it's a difficult language to learn for sure. Have you faced any prejudice? Like, have you ever met anyone, and probably this would happen in the States, where you tell them you're Muslim and they've just treated you different? Or have you ever had contact with somebody that just was prejudiced against you being a white Muslim?
Never in person. So if you saw the messages I get on social media, most people would not be able to handle the amount of hate, as I get like a lot of hate messages. But that's from people who have their own issues. Side note, if anybody's hating on you, it's because what you're saying is exposing something in their life that they're uncomfortable about. So you should never worry about anybody's opinions. In person, I've never once in my life had anybody say or do anything negative to me because I'm a Muslim. And this is one of my firm beliefs, is that the best thing that you can do, dawah. So dawah in Islam is spreading the message, right? And I think the best dawah that a Muslim can do is being the best Muslim they can possibly be. Because what's going to happen is if I meet someone and I talk to them for 15 minutes and I'm a great person and I'm kind and they are like, oh, this is a cool person. And then 15 minutes into the conversation, they find out I'm a Muslim. It's like, oh, that doesn't trigger anything. They've already met me. They already know who I am. They already know I'm cool. And then what it actually does is it subconsciously in their brain, they associate my good traits, my kindness with Islam. So then they view Islam in a better light. So I've met a lot of people, like everybody I work with is a non-Muslim, knows I'm a Muslim. Like 98% of my friends are non-Muslim and they all know I'm Muslim. I have a lot of friends who are Christian. Like it never comes up.
And even back home in your small town?
Like I go, yeah. Everybody from my high school, I've seen a couple people unfollow, but everybody from my high school like follows me on social media. And I get probably on average one message a month from someone I went to high school with that like I kind of loosely know that goes, "Oh, love what you're doing. Love what you're doing." While I'm like hardcore spreading Islam, like, you know, and they don't have a problem with it. And I think what it is people, this isn't Islam, but people have a problem with religion when they don't like the person, right? So if you're just an annoying person or a person that has no credibility or whatever it is, and then you like talk about religion, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, this guy in religion. It goes back to the, oh, they're using religion as this because they've got nothing else going on for them, right? And I'll try to say this in the most non-egotistical way, but I have plenty of other stuff going on for me, right? So it's like these people don't see this as a like, oh, Canyon's gone down this whole thing and now he's a Muslim and we used to know him in high school. It's just like, it's just another one of the things, right? It's like if you meet someone and you have a conversation with them and just like, the only thing about you is you're a radical religion person, well, then yeah, fair play to them, they'll get turned off. But if you meet someone and you have your interests, you have your job, you have your family, you have all these things about you, and one of those things about you is that you're a Muslim or is that you're a Christian, most people don't have a negative connotation. So it brings us to the next thing where social media is dividing us because we feel that we can say whatever we want on social media to someone, we can insult someone. And the problem is those people that feel they can say anything, they get amplified because hate spreads on social media. So then we think, oh, everybody's like this. Everybody hates on this person. Like everybody hates Muslims, or everybody hates Christians, or everybody hates whites, everybody hates blacks because they're hating. But then when you get in person, the people online are like 0.0001% of people. That doesn't exist, right? So what everyone has this image in their head that all this negativity on social media is everywhere. I've never had a negative interaction in my entire life with anything related to anything religion.
It's funny because this podcast is for a Western audience about the East. I'm trying to basically build bridges through storytelling, through connection. But one thing that I've wanted to avoid is religion and politics because everyone is very opinionated. Everyone has their own opinions about religion and politics. And usually you can't convince anyone to change their mind about it. And that actually does the opposite. But I think having somebody like you, it kind of delivers the message in a softer blow. And this is why, you know, you came across my feed on TikTok with that viral post of yours that said that you can prove why Islam is the right religion in a few seconds. And I was like, you know what? I think for a Western audience, especially, there are some people, like you said, you had never met a Muslim, right, before you traveled. And I think that's still the case. So that's why I'm really just excited to have you talk about Islam because it's more of like you're more like a what's the word, like a neutral. It's a neutral place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So thank you
That's
again.
that's
Go ahead.
something I try to pride myself in as being a very neutral person. And I think you are right. It's easier to hear a message from someone that can relate to you on other aspects. So right, if you had someone on here, this is like, let's say the most stereotypical brown Muslim dude with a huge beard, a white hat and white robes. Like it's too extreme for some people to be able to like handle. And then the reality is what people need to understand is that we're all humans and being human, it's completely okay to disagree. Like we can disagree politically, we can disagree religiously. We don't have to like each other, and that's fine, right? We just don't have to hate each other. So an important thing is I have made some videos like hating on America for niche. You can't add nuance to short form content, right? I love the country I'm from. Like being born in America sets you up to succeed. Like if you're born in America, Canada, or no, America more than anywhere, your likelihood of being able to be quote unquote successful skyrockets. And I'm so grateful to be American. I'm so grateful to have an American passport. And there's a bunch of places in America I love. I also love a lot of aspects from countries like the UAE and Saudi way more than America. And it's this fine balance, right? Where like a lot of my audience will say they hate, they hate America. Like I posted a story when I was heading back to America like 2 months ago, and something was like, oh, you're heading back to a failed society. Yeah, there's a lot of problems in America. I still love the place. So I think when talking about that message, right, it's really important to hear it. Like my message of, my message isn't become a Muslim. Like if I had to have a message, just be like, chill out. Life's not that serious, bro. Calm down. But it's easy to hear someone who is from the same country as you, loves the same country as you, is probably the same skin color as you, tell you a different opinion than from someone who's just completely radically different in every single aspect.
Absolutely. And one thing that you mentioned that is so obvious to people like me and you is that we're all humans. There's a reason that my podcast is called One in Tribe. We all come from the same tribe, which is the human tribe. And it's so sad that in 2025, we still have to tell people that Arabs and Muslims are human beings. And again, this is why I've created this podcast, because the Western media has done an excellent job of creating a narrative that Arabs and Muslims are bad people. And that couldn't be farther from the truth.
Yeah, it's a very fascinating thing is, fun fact, Arabs make up like 10% of all Muslims. So just for anyone who does not know this, the majority of all Muslims are Asian. Indonesia is the largest Muslim population. There's a lot of Japanese and Korean Muslims. Okay, so most people just don't know that. There's a lot of Russian Muslims. People think that Islam is Arab, and it's not. Now, the issue is they look at Muslims and they've been raised by the media to view them in a certain light. So they just automatically associate that, okay? That's gonna deteriorate. The media is fading, so people are no longer doing it. But what's sticking is Muslims and Arabs are the only group of people that are being judged based on the actions of a small portion of them, right? So it's like, why are not all white people judged and held to the accountability of Hitler? This is an extreme example, but this is to illustrate an important part, right? Not every person looks, oh, you're a white person, so you want to genocide people. Like that doesn't make any sense. It's a logical fallacy. It doesn't make sense. But anybody looks at Muslims, who go, oh, you're Al-Qaeda, right? Because you're an Arab. And yes, the Western media has done that. So it's just an important lesson that we need to understand is that a small portion of people and their bad experiences does not represent the religion of Islam. And people aren't perfect. So people will criticize things that happen in Afghanistan. This is always the one I see. Oh, you haven't been to Afghanistan. Culture isn't Islam. Cultural practices, things that people do in certain Muslim countries, that's not actually Islam. So the belief as Muslims, Islam is a perfect religion, people are not. So then it's also very important is we can't hold judgment against the religion for what people do. Because then why don't we hold judgment of what the KKK and how they started to Christianity? We don't, right? But then ISIS is held accountable to Muslims. So we just have to break that stigma of small portions of people don't represent everybody.
So true. Very well said. I like it. So let's move quickly. Just you are, like I said, 20 years old. I said it in the introduction. You've accomplished so much at such a young age. What do you owe that to?
Obviously, nothing's possible without God. You got to give God credit. But I have a very nuanced belief here because a lot of people give all of their credit to God, right? But they also did the work and they need to give themselves some credit too. So I have some beef with people who like sit around, do nothing their entire life and go, well, it's all in God's hand. Like, no, if you don't get off the couch, like you can't do anything. So it requires having faith in God, but also you've got to do the work. So I give a lot of credit to what I've been able to do is by condensing timeframes. It's a belief I hold so wholeheartedly is people waste how they spend their time. And you can achieve in 2 years dedicated time, what most people do in 20, right? Think about how many books does the average person read a year? How quickly could you get that done? How many trainings does the average person do a year? How quickly could you get that done? So I'm just a big believer in trying to get things done quicker. Only focus on high leverage tasks. Like I don't make food. I don't buy food. I order all of my food. And even when I didn't have much money, I'd order all of my food just because I'm not going to waste my time cooking food, right? So it's like spend your time on things that are going to make you a better person. And an important lesson is not everybody wants the same things as me. I do want like to become uber successful, right? And I do believe I'll get there. But also some people just want to spend time with people they love and, you know, go on adventures. Do that too, right? Like you can achieve that as well, because if your goal in life is to go out and spend time in nature and be with your kids, that's awesome. You should do that. And you could do that more if you stopped wasting time 2 hours a day fiddling around with this, fiddling around with that. So that's where I give a lot of credit. It's just like ruthlessly sit down, analyze what's important to me. What do I want to achieve in life? What am I doing that I don't need to be doing that's holding me back from achieving these things? And how can I spend more of my time productively achieving these things?
And what does success look to you?
So my definition of success is how close you get to achieving what you sought out to get. Because so many people, success is a blanket term, right? As young men, you're told success is a Lambo, Rolex, and $1 million, right? In corporate, you're told success is having a 6-figure job. But success is different for every single person. So I think how to know if you're successful is what goals did you set out to achieve and how close did you get to achieving them? So if you sat down and you went, my goal is to have a stable job, have a good spouse, have children, and have 2 vacations a year. And in 20 years, if you are doing all of that, then by my definition, you are successful. But if your goal was to have $5 million, it's the only goal you had, and 20 years goes by and you don't have $5 million, then you're not successful, right? Because how close did you get to attaining what you set out to get? And I think it's really important in life to know what you actually want, because a lot of people don't know what they want, and then they go 20 years and then they're not happy with what they have because they had no direction of trying to achieve it. When in the reality is, if you just accepted, maybe I don't want to be a millionaire, I just want to have a good life, you would be more happy with where you are. But most people just haven't accepted. They always want more and they're never grateful for what they have. So it's just important. Know what you want. Go chase what you want. Don't chase things you don't need.
So true. So my nephew is 19 years old. He just finished his first year of college. I know that college is not for everyone, but that was the choice that he made. What advice would you give to young men? I know that what you just said has a bunch of little advice, but what ultimate advice would you give to young men right now?
My advice is, this will be kind of contradictory, but everybody is going to give you advice and you don't need to listen to their advice. You need to understand there's a million different ways to achieve what you want in life. Life is not linear. 10 different people are going to tell you this is the only way for you to achieve what you want. And the reality is, if you listen to any of them, you will make it. Now, the problem is you need to stay away from taking advice from too many people, because you'll start to get contradictory opinions. One person's going to tell you to be successful, you need a 2-hour morning routine, you need to control your energy, your whole life needs to be dialed in. Another person's going to tell you to be successful, you need to do nothing except work from the second you wake up to when you go to bed. If you try to follow both of their advice, it's not going to work. If you pick one, it will. So you need to understand everybody's giving advice. The best way to succeed is ignore 99% of it.
Love it. Canyon, because this is a podcast about the East, the Middle East, let's end with a message that you would like to give the West about either Arabs, the Arab world, or Islam.
Don't hold opinions that you don't have based on your own experiences. It's very short, but the reality is most opinions that we have on anything in life is opinions someone else gave us. So it's okay to say you don't know something. If you've never met a Muslim, you shouldn't have an opinion on one. If you've never been to a Muslim country, you shouldn't have an opinion on one. So before judging things, sit and ask yourself, am I judging this based on my experiences, or am I judging this based on what someone's told me I'm supposed to believe?
Canyon, I've really enjoyed this conversation. You are really wise beyond your years, and thank you so much. Before we go, do you want to share your social media, how the audience can find you, follow you?
If you look up Canyon, just like the Grand Canyon, you'll find me. That's all you have to do.
Awesome.
Thank you for having
Thank
me
you.
on.
And what?
Thank you for having me on. I've enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you so much, Canyon. And thank you for watching. And please don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye.